On this week's Race Room, we are asking you, is Sebastian Vettel killing off the F1 audience? We've discovered a new species, and where is Martin Whitmarsh? And some news for you first, and it's all about MotoGP. The first round of pre-season testing got underway out in Sepang, Malaysia, and no surprises, the current world champion Marc Marquez was fastest. He was more than half a second faster than Valentino Rossi, who was in turn a tenth of a second faster than Dani Pedrosa, Marc Marquez's teammate. And of course, there are 47 days until the first round of the championship out in Qatar, so keep an eye on the channel. We'll have more MotoGP action for you. In the World Endurance Championship, it's all change at Audi. We know that Allan McNish is leaving after 14 years with the German team. He's going to be replaced by this boy, Lucas di Grassi. He was all lined up for potentially a seat at Formula E, but no, he will be driving alongside Loic Duval and Tom Christensen as they try and defend their World Championship title. Right, time for a bit of a debate now. Last night we saw this post go up on Twitter from the Sebastian Vettel news account, saying that everybody is blaming Sebastian Vettel about making F1 boring, about lowering the F1 audience, and bringing in even the new rule about double points. So it got us thinking, so we posted on Twitter and Facebook asking you, do you think Sebastian Vettel is to blame for the drop in the F1 audience? And boy, have you replied and responded in your masses. Let me see here. First of all, we've got one from Saskia Masters, #44. She says, no, because it's not his fault. Yes, I hate seeing him win, but I don't watch F1 because of him. I do because of the sport. A good point, of course. Sebastian Vettel is always putting on a good show. We've seen the donuts, we've seen him racing at the front, but then Alistair McLeod says maybe every other team and driver should be blamed for failing to actually challenge him and Red Bull. Of course, they are always at the front, and it is up to the other teams to bring the game to Red Bull. Then we've got Declan Butler saying, yes, it was boring to watch him week in, week out, and I hope this season destroys Red Bull. Well, we've already seen that the Renault engine, so not necessarily Red Bull, the engine letting them down. So who knows, this could be a huge game changer. Sebastian Vettel having to work his way up from the midfield, maybe not always qualifying in pole position. Tracy, just Tracy F1, says absolutely not. So she doesn't think Vettel's responsible for the downturn in views amongst the F1 fans. And then here we've got F1 Princess Lisa saying, no, he's a racing driver, and every time he went on track, he raced. He did what he was paid to do. Now, what do you think? Instead of commenting on Facebook or on Twitter, why don't you send us a video and tell us what you believe is happening in F1? Is Vettel responsible for the lower viewing figures this year? We want to hear from you. Of course, always send your video to media@polepositionp1.com. Can't wait to hear from you. Time for our new strand again. What has the camera seen? And this is what our camera has seen. Not necessarily our camera perhaps, but what we've come across in the Pole Position newsroom. A pugwin. How sweet. I'm not really a pug fan, but when you put it on a penguin, so sweet. Have you seen any new species? If so, let us know. And also this, I mean, just a casual trip out during our lunchtime, and we saw Tim Westwood in the Apple store playing with speakers, and we think he was actually playing some of his jingles. How embarrassing. The woman in the background not impressed.
That's all from me, Westwood. I'm back Monday to Friday, 1Extra doing my thing. Shout to gigs, SN1 up in this building.
But yes, he's looking uber trendy there with his cap. So street. If you've got any pictures that you want to share with us, what your camera has seen over the last couple of weeks, send them in, media@polepositionp1.com. Tweets of the week, my favourite moment of the show. First up, we've got @F1 Archives posting a picture of Daniel Ricciardo saying, yes, we know you're an ace on the barbecue, but now isn't the time to show it. Love this. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo, massive pressure on his shoulders. Can he challenge Sebastian Vettel? He keeps on saying in all his interviews he can. And of course, the first round of the championship, his home Grand Prix, it's going to be seriously full of pressure for him that weekend. So who knows, maybe it would be better to just stay at home and put a shrimp on the barbie. Next tweet. So yes, on the second day of pre-season testing out in Jerez, it was deemed the wet day, but actually not wet enough. So they got the tractor out to do a few laps to dampen the track. And yes, it was true. The tractor seemed to be doing more laps than especially the likes of Red Bull and those Renault engines. So yeah, a nice little tweet there from Jordan Irvine. Love those. Keep them coming in. Next tweet. Now I mentioned this at the beginning. where is Martin Whitmarsh? No one has actually said where he's gone. So there are some suggestions here from Grand Prix Diary. Somewhere in the McLaren Technology Centre still, or perhaps on gardening leave, retirement village. I mean, Ross Brawn says he's retiring. He's confirmed that. He's going fishing. Or perhaps here, redecorating Eric Boulier's office. Who knows? Watch this space. Next tweet. Now, because we're based in London at pole position, we are being massively affected by these tube strikes coming up, but I like this take on it, showing you where all the coffee shops are on the tube. Now, that would be much nicer than striking, wouldn't it? If we all just went and had a cup of tea or a coffee. Next tweet. Yeah, clearly an F1 fan. From WTF1.co.uk, we love your tweets every week. Flags from Sweden, Denmark, Norway, please colour a Swedish flag and then a Finnish flag. That's classic. Definitely an F1 fan and very topical for what's coming up next week. So the last tweet was topical because it is Rally Sweden this week. We won't be there, but we will be having lots of behind the scenes action from WRC, so keep an eye on the channel for that. Can Sebastian Ogier win Rally Sweden for the second consecutive year? He's the current world champion, and of course he won back in Rally Monte Carlo. So lots of pressure on him to deliver again this weekend in Rally Sweden. On Friday, we've got exclusive access to the Zoom photograph auction. Yes, all the F1 drivers have sent in their photographs. They're going to be auctioned off on Friday, so keep an eye on the channel over the weekend because we'll have lots of videos coming from that. And until then, we'll see you next week.
This year, I think is going to be better than ever. I really do.
Blonde.
Mountain or beach?
Mountain.